Hey guys, it's Matt. Today we're going to talk about a statue from Sideshow's own intellectual property, the Court of the Dead. This is the first mortal to ever set foot in the realm of the underworld, called forth by Death himself. This is Shard, the mortal trespasser from Sideshow. Let's get into it. This is a unique art box just for the Court of the Dead line. It's got this beautiful black, both flat and gloss printed motif that has all of these trappings of the underworld. We've got figural forms in here and the spiritual essence of the underworld kind of flowing and forming behind this foil stamped emblem of Shard. We've got Shard's title here in foil stamped red and then Mortal Trespasser right here at the bottom. This is absolutely a gorgeous box, and it's a shame that it really goes in storage because I don't have room to display it. On the side of the box here, you've got the first word in the motto of the underworld, Rise, Conquer, and Rule. On the back, you have a few product images. You've got Shard herself standing full size here. That's just about a 1-to-1 photo. Then you've got a few details and a short synopsis here at the bottom, courtofthedead.com, and the Sideshow logo. The other side is the same with Rise. On the top, you have the Court of the Dead logo with the Underworld United emblem here. That's bone, flesh, and spirit all together. And then on the bottom, you have your general UPC and your Court of the Dead logos and all that. And this is a number matched box. This is number 1945 of 3,000 statues in this edition. It's a cool looking box. It's not too big, won't take up too much room in your storage. And it's nice to keep on hand if you ever need to store your statue. Next, we're gonna get started with the base. We have this gorgeous small footprint base, solid cast resin, very heavy, very nice, very detailed. On the bottom here, you have Shard's logo. She's a former knight, and you have some of her motif being called across here with this white bar, the same sort of ethereal imagery in the background here, and her sword and diamond emblem right here with her name, Shard, the Mortal Trespasser, and then this is numbered right here at the bottom. Again, this is number 1945 of 3,000. This is kind of cool that both numbers are actually written in on this side, and the Court of the Dead logo at the top. The base itself is a crumbling staircase that Shard descends. It's got her Knights Templar emblems around the bottom, and then the skulls of the underworld holding up this staircase. And these are all painted light effects. This sort of teal spiritual glow is all painted on, and it's very convincing. This is a great statue with lots of detail. There's actually glowing runes carved into the staircase here. It's a small base, but there's a lot to see. Next, we're going to affix Shard's body to the base. Shard is encased in the armor that's been forged for her in the underworld. She's a human and she's fearless. However, she does need protection from the forces that occupy the realm of the dead. She's got this great herringbone weaved design that goes all the way around. It's completely sculpted. There's all of these studs and armor and bones wrapping around her here. It's absolutely gorgeous. Her pose is just perfect. You'll see it come together as I put the rest of the statue on this pedestal here. Shard attaches to the base with a large key here on her left foot and a pin that goes up into her thigh. She affixes with her left foot into this hole in the base. Just make sure you line everything up properly. And her right foot stands free on the stairs. Now the next piece you're going to want to add is Shard's fabric cloak. This is a premium format statue, and this one is mixed media. So she has this beautiful sewn cloak that has all of this gorgeous printing on the inside. And then you've got sort of some mud and dirt and wear on the outside here. I like to put this on first because of the way it goes around her shoulders. This actually goes behind her neck and in front of her shoulders. Just going to want to hang it there while we get the other parts, and we'll pose the cape when it's ready. Next, we have Shard's arms holding her two swords. We've got Faith Bearer and Seraph's Woe. This sword in her right hand, which is all cast out of metal, is her earthly sword that she's brought to the underworld with her. This one has been forged in the underworld for her. She carries them both so that she's ready for anything. That goes there, and like I said, these parts go in front of her shoulders. This part here goes behind her neck, and her head will hold that in place once we get it. And lastly, we have her head. That just goes right in front of the cloak, arrange that behind her neck, and there you go. There's Shard, completely assembled. We still have a little bit of work to do. We've got to pose her cape and give the full effect of her descending the stairs and this fabric cape billowing in the wind and heat coming up from the underworld. What I like to do when I'm posing a cape, I like to think of it as sort of one single shape in what I'm trying to achieve, rather than just individual little folds. It can be a little intimidating that way. What I start with is just sort of giving it a smooth S curve that goes all the way along the length of the cape. Just like this, change the sizes a little bit. Some big, some small, some that double back on themselves like so. And this gives you a good starting point. Once you've got that done, bunch it all together like this. And don't be too precious with your capes. It's fabric. As long as you don't give it any creases, you're not going to hurt anything. Now we have the basic sort of rumpled cape, and then we're going to open it up as though it is billowing in the wind and being blown away from her. Now the shape I want to go for is sort of a C that goes from her ponytail all the way through her body and back up into the cape. And to do that, I'm going to make sure that it sort of billows up, rests on the stairs a little bit so that it goes where I want. Find a little purchase point here. I've got a good one right here in between this brick. And so that it's not two-dimensional, you want to sort of wrap it around her. So as you can see right now, it kind of follows this single plane. So I'm going to take this and billow it out a little bit more so that we are actually using the three-dimensional space. Double it back on itself to get it out of her way. There we go. And then, once you've got that all done, you're going to want to sculpt these fabric gores that come away from the shoulders down to the bottom so that they follow a natural line to the end of the cape. Sculpting capes is a lot of fun. It's something I enjoy a lot, so fabric elements like this are something I actually look for in statues. I think it adds a lot of realism, a lot of dimension. It changes up the texture, and it actually really affects the way light hits the statue and plays off of it. If this were sculpted, it would have sort of a sheen, a glossy sheen, at least what I've seen, and you can tell that it's sculpted. Now there are some capes that it's just done really, really well when they're sculpted, and you just totally can't tell, but I do still tend to prefer these fabric capes, especially ones as good as this, when I can get them. There is Shard, the mortal trespasser, on her way to meet with death and figure out just exactly what she was going to do to upset the balance in the underworld. Now, let's talk a little bit about my feelings of this statue. The Court of the Dead line of statues is known for being highly detailed, very design-oriented, and just a lot of fun to look at. The nice thing about this being Sideshow's own property is they can kind of do whatever they want and really come up with some unique pieces that are just a joy to have in your collection. This thing is detailed from the absolute bottom of the base up to the top of her ponytail here, and there's just a treat to behold on every square inch. From the base, you've got these differing shields all across the bottom here, and then that sort of holds up all of these skulls that support this spiritual stairway that Shard is descending. There's cracks and skulls and light painted in, and it's just gorgeous, and it really looks like a miniaturized version of what it's actually meant to be. Shard's armor on her foot here, every single plate is sculpted and hammered, and it just looks like it's actually made of real iron. There's leather and kind of bone-looking wrappings that go around her calf here, and that follows up into her thigh with these bone arms that reach around, and all this leather-looking armor is all studded together. The details on her suit are second to none. Her back here is completely lined with buckles, studs, multiple levels of this armor here. The sculptors, painters, and costumers at Sideshow have really gone above and beyond to make this feel like a whole unified piece. This is a fantastic piece, even if you don't know anything about the lore, which in and of itself is very complex and deep. But this is just a lot of fun to have, just to look at as a piece. Who is that? Who's that female warrior there? You don't need to know anything about it other than she's just awesome. She's awesome looking. She's got a good heft to her. She's just a very nicely finished piece. There wasn't any paint overbleed. There isn't any errors in the casting anywhere that I have found. I even found a nice little detail that I don't see a lot. All along her hairline here is hand-painted little baby hairs that actually soften the transition between her hair and her neck in a very realistic fashion. And the only way to do that is by hand, going all along this hairline here and filling those out. It's just gorgeous. Now, is this statue a must-buy? I'm going to say absolutely yes. This is a gorgeous piece. If you are at all interested in the Court of the Dead and you only want one piece from the line, this is one to get. She's a human character, so she's relatable in that way. She's appealing, she's not too grotesque. Some of the Court of the Dead stuff can be a little bit geeky, but she is not that, so she's very approachable from that standpoint, and you can kind of fill in story points wherever you want. She's really just a joy to have. She's still available on Sideshow.com. You can jump on there and search for Shard Mortal Trespasser. She'll pop up and throw in your cart, pick one up for yourself. Happy collecting!
Hey, did you like that video? Be sure to subscribe by clicking the S icon on your screen and click that bell icon to be notified whenever a new video is posted. If you'd like more info on the items featured in this video, click the link provided under Product Info. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to let your geek side show.